Always down here. Everybody knows
usually
us.
we don't have Kirby with us, though.
Kirby is with us. We appreciate you hanging out with us
Kirby.
today. So here's the thing. This is about a little over an hour from Nashville, anywhere around Middle Tennessee. Just get in the car and come down here. And then you can sit on this. We're literally sitting in a floating restaurant.
Oh, man.
Blaine just ordered a bunch of food. The weather's perfect.
And the fish are waiting right here, man. You get some nice catches here, nice big ones, too, man. I can't wait to, feed them a little something. See how crazy they go.
You could just stick your hand in the water here, and you could catch yourself a big fish.
Mm-hmm, yeah. We'll let Kirby do that.
Kirby is going to do that. We can do that live on the air and see if he could. We used to call that hogging, where you'd hog a catfish, stick your hand under a rock. I never did that, but I knew.
I think you did.
I didn't. I'm not sticking my hand under a rock in dark water.
You did that? You did that, Kirby?
Noodling. That's what people call it around here.
Oh, okay. We can't hear you, Kirby.
Yeah, he's just talking.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
but the resort also, I guess Marina. Also, you can have weddings out here, man. Yeah. I took some fabulous pictures, man. I think maybe. I can't get my secrets out, but yeah, man, it looked really nice. They, the groom and the bride, they have their own separate houses, so that was pretty unique. And what they've done out here, man, is I didn't even know all this stuff was, all this really nice new stuff was out here, man. They're expanding, man. Twin Creeks. Village, cottages, RVs, you name it. And that's naturally all the boats out here, man. Yeah, I can't wait. Kirby's boat is already here. It says Kirby, Allen, Kirby, do not touch.
Mm-hmm. CAC, D&T.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just all initials.
Yeah, so we're going to ride on his boat.
So we'll be here. You want to know more about this place, go to TwinCreeksTN.com. They have live entertainment. Our buddy JT, our longtime producer, he told me, I hang out there. My wife and me, we're going to be out there tonight just hanging out, partying here.
I know.
So JT,
he said he's actually using Kirby's boat. That's why he was coming.
100% he's going to use Kirby's boat. Waterfront cottages, like the Hitman said, RV resort. You can rent a boat. I was watching somebody rent one a minute ago. Full service marina, that's right basically where we are. This place is just amazing. And the little town of Winchester, really cool. There's plenty of stuff down here. But when you pull into this place, I'm just going to tell you, I felt totally relaxed. Got the water, sun kind of looking through the clouds. I was totally relaxed once we got here.
Yeah, I know. It reminded you of home, huh?
Well, the country part did, yeah. We had a lake that was so small in my town, you could almost throw a rock across it.
Oh,
it was
really?
tiny. Yes, nothing like this. Nothing like this place. Tim's Ford Lake is a really big lake, really cool. So we're telling you, this is where you need to come. You can buy a house down here. We
toured some houses as well. Because Kirby said he was thinking about getting one, so we're just going to freeload off of Kirby. He got a boat, so we got to say, well, Kirby, you got to get a house
buy
here.
A house
so
for us
when we come down here and visit, we'll pay you a little. Little cheddar.
But they're doing rentals here now. So you can rent a house. Just kind of try it before you buy it for the weekend. They showed us showed us their wedding venues, the place where they do the receptions. There's a place where you can get married right over the water.
Oh, that was awesome.
They got a house for the groom to stay in. They got a house for the bride to stay in. It's called the Mimosa House.
Really, that's kind of the hangover house.
There were several trucks still parked at the groom house. She said, I would imagine that they're still feeling the effects of
we
had a wedding
yesterday.
Go
in that when, there was people still there.
So I'll tell you what, if I was Brandon Miller or Ben Shepherd, I'd just come down here and buy me a house since I got drafted last night in the NBA.
Oh. Well, that's exciting for those guys for sure, man. What an exciting time! I watched some of the NBA draft, and some of the guys just talking about some of their motivations. And in 8th grade, they weren't even getting recruited. It was one story, and I was just like, wow. And all of a sudden, now they go top 15 pick, out of nowhere. And then
top 15.
Yeah. So and then you had the high profile guys, the Victor. I'll let Kirby pronounce his name. I don't have it in front of me. What's his name?
Wimbanaya.
Oh, okay. Is that it? Okay. I heard multiple pronunciations. Wimby.
Yeah,
okay.
let's just call him that.
I thought it was Wimbyama.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Wimbyama.
Yeah, so he was actually the unicorn and, this next version of, hyped up player coming out that's probably going to be bigger, they say, as LeBron James. So I'm interested to see if this all works out. His skill level at 7'4" was pretty phenomenal. Block shots. I'm interested to see if he could stay healthy. And I say that because the NBA is a lot more physical than people think until you go to an actual game. And most of those tall, slender guys like that that has his skill set, which I don't think we've ever seen a guy like that. I think a guy that was built like him was more like Ralph Sampson, but Ralph Sampson wasn't a three-point shooter.
Right.
He wasn't a take-you-off-the-dribble guy. He was a post player. So I'm interested to see if he could stay healthy and see how once he starts putting on a little bit of weight, how that parlays into the game. But his game is what it is, man. I mean, you don't see too many guys 7'4" that with handles that can shoot threes, that take it to the rack and block shots and be effective on the defensive end. So it's yet to be determined. But, man, a lot of experts who are in the basketball industry thinks this dude is going to transform the Spurs and the whole league. I'm like, wow. So Miller was right behind him. So excited for him being from Nashville, Antioch. So that was really cool. He's going to Charlotte, I think, Charlotte Hornets.
Yep.
2 Charlotte, Alabama guys going to Charlotte. Bryce Young going to Charlotte, and Brandon Miller. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. So I'm going to be following his career throughout his whole time. I feel like we're always going to be connected to him just because he's from here. So that was really, really cool. But just meeting their families and their stories and how much work they put in and how, the parents seem real level-headed saying that, hey, the process now starts all over again.
Yep.
Now we're really going to start putting in the work. I love hearing that because I don't know if some parents and kids, by the way, think that is where you have to have your mentality. Because what you've done to that point was great, but now there's a whole nother level you got to try to achieve and get to and put in the work. And now you have more time to put in the work because it's 24/7. So how much better can you get? So, yeah, it's always exciting, man, to see the drafts. And any draft. I think what the hockey's draft is next week, Kirby? Yeah.
Right, in Nashville. Yeah. Kirby will be down there doing something, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to go on the red carpet.
You should.
With all the knowledge that I know of hockey.
Hey, man, don't sell yourself short.
But it's great.
You got the hockey knowledge. You know that.
Yeah. I'm just going for all guys that are fast and big. Regardless, it doesn't matter.
How is it that I've seen you now? We've been down here for over an hour, and you never once said to me, Ben Shepherd got drafted to your hometown team.
Oh, wait,
the Pacers. That's your squad.
Well,
grew up with the Pacers in Indy.
He wasn't the first pick because they traded their first pick.
Yep.
And so I forgot who they traded with, the Wizards. So he was their second pick, or they had another pick in the first round.
I think they had 3.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So we shall see what he does. I mean, the Pacers. They are nothing like the times when I was there. They had Reggie Miller,
the 2 Davises,
and the 2 Davises.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, they really, as much as Michael Jordan was it at that era, Reggie Miller gave him all he could handle and backed it up with talk and smack talk throughout the whole time.
Sure did.
And so I now the Pacers are just kind of they're not that. They're kind of putting together a lot of good players, and it seems just to never work out. I think ever since George left, Paul George, they really haven't come together. They need a superstar guy. Victor Oladipo was kind of a local guy because he went to Indiana. They traded him. He got injured. So I'm interested to see what he does. He'll be a quality player in the NBA, but sometimes situations, right teams at the right time timing is everything. I'm big on that, especially because I know what my career did in the right place, right time. So I could have went to a different team, and I might not even been in the league or got the opportunity as soon as I did. So, yeah, I'm excited for all those guys, local kids. So,
also, we talk a lot about the evolution of football, and you look no further than like Saquon Barkley and all the running backs who are getting cut or not getting the contracts that they want. The game has evolved. Drew Timme, Adam Sanogo, Oscar Tshiebwe, not drafted. Once upon a time, those guys would have been among the first guys taken.
Yeah, I think that's why Timmy stayed in, because I think he was worried about that. And there's a part of me, I think his game, he will be an NBA player and a good one. But what will be his role? Because he's kind of a post player. I wanted to see him this year do more three-point shooting, ball handling. And I think it's in him.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see more out of it because I think that's what his role is going to be. He's kind of going to be the modern version, it just came to me, Kevin Love. That's what I think I envision him being. So you have to start looking at players and say, what can they potentially be?
Right.
And you don't see him shooting a lot of threes. He just doesn't, it's not in his repertoire. Well, when you get in the NBA, he'll realize that his athleticism is going to be at the bottom of the NBA. So your post moves, you're going to have to be super skilled if you want to live in the paint.
Yep.
Not to say that he can't. I just think it will help his game and to see where it can go. And I think that's the only thing. And, they're playing in all these different, summer leagues and evaluating guys, and I watched probably a game or two, and that's just what I saw when I watched him. I'm a real big fan of his, by the way, because I like him a lot, but I just think athletically is going to be tough, but so he's got to beat people with skill. And we've seen skill can beat guys even if you're a better athlete. So as we saw our man Joker just run around in circles around AD and anybody else that was a lot more, let's say, athletically gifted than him. So that's both of those guys. That's kind of how I feel. Yeah.
What about Sonogo, Shibwe? I mean, we got to see Shibwe playing at Kentucky. Obviously, you get to see him as much as you want on SEC Network. And
he's a lefty, right? The big guy. So his game, a lot of those guys look stiff to me in his game. You're talking about he's more of a paint player, so he's going to be effective on the defensive end. Continue to see his development as an offensive scorer. Some games he put up 30, next game he put up 12. Naturally I'm watching all the Tennessee games when they play Kentucky, so I think he'll be solid. Does he want to expand his game to being more than just solid? And when I say that, I'm like looking at like a guy like Aiden, whose game is he's a center, right? I think that's what this kid's going to be, maybe more power forward, but he's still playing everything in the paint. Like, at some point, this game has changed and evolved in the NBA, and you have to be able to pull people out and handle the rock and do more. So I don't know how far he'll get with just being a post player in the league. He'll be a good player, but will he be like an all-star? I think that'll determine it. I mean, just think now, let's look at Grant Williams. He didn't shoot hardly any threes in college, and see how much time he's put in the work to shoot threes, and that's his role. Is he's a defender, three-point, spot-up shooter. Guess why? Because he's on a team with superstars, and he's going to get open looks. So he just is in the gym working on shooting spot-up threes, almost like shooting free throws, but they're not, but from further distance. So, that's why I say situations kind of put you in a good position. If he had to be the star stud guy, I don't know if they would be using him like that. I just don't think he'd be that guy. Especially when you're that 6'5", 6'6" guy. Back in the 90s, he would have been great. But today, they were like, hey, man, where's your ball handling? Where's your skills? What can you shoot? I mean, mid-range to the rack. So he's got the mindset. So he put in the work. So it's difficult to make the NBA. I think NBA is one of the hardest because there's only, 12, 15 guys on a team, and the athleticism is off the charts. I always go back and forth the debate if NBA or hitting a baseball, which is harder. But athletically, these guys are off the charts, all of them.
They're all unicorns. Yeah, everybody in the NBA
is insane, man. When you see some of the stuff that they're doing with the basketball, whether it's your handles to athletically just jumping way out the gym. Yeah.
Well, we're not going to jump off this boat dock where we are because we're at Twin Creeks Marina Resort Village. Again, we'll be here until 3 o'clock today, but you can just come spend the rest of your life here. You can come spend the summer here.
I don't think I'm leaving.
So just letting our bosses know we're going to keep Kirby here. We're just going to keep doing the show here every day.
We're going to ride this boat all the way back to Nashville.
That's what we're going to do. TwinCreeksTN.com. You can learn more about this wonderful place where we are today. All right, we talked some Titans numbers yesterday. Warren Sharp football. I told you I've been compiling some of his other numbers. Let's get into some more of those next. If you are a Titans fan, I'll just say I'm glad you're not on this boat dock with us because you might jump in the water when you hear these next ones.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Thanks. While school may be out, Tennessee's summer weather may be forcing you in. So when you are indoors this summer, you should be comfortable doing so. And all you have to do is call on Cool Ray to keep you cool all summer long. And Cool Ray will keep you cool with a $69 AC tune-up and cleaning. And maybe you've already noticed that the AC unit is not acting right. Well, they have trusted certified technicians on standby ready to find the fix so you don't break a sweat. And maybe things are past the point of repair for your AC unit? Well, Cool Ray has brand new Temstar home comfort systems on hand and ready for same day or next day installation. Plus, they boost the industry-leading warranties on this new equipment. And don't forget, Cool Ray isn't just there for your HVAC needs. Whether it's their electrical team ready to upgrade your home theater area for summer movie nights, or their plumbing team ready to replace the water heater that's about to go out, the Cool Ray companies are your one-stop shop for total home comfort. So schedule your next visit online at coolray.com. No phone call, no wait, no worries. You pick the date and time that works for you. That's coolray.com.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. We're at Twin Creeks Marina Resort and Village in Winchester, Tennessee, on beautiful Thames Ford Lake. We're literally doing the show today from a floating restaurant. So we get here. Hitman's always like, when you go somewhere local, like, hey, man, what's good here, right? Mm-hmm. What do y'all like?
Yeah.
Every one of these young ladies working here, pickle pizza.
And I was like, pickle on a pizza? It's like, yeah, that's it. It's legit.
I said, okay, which one of y'all thought of this? And they named, like, the guy in the back who makes everything. So if you're on F&M Bank Chat, if you're watching, pickle pizza. If you're, there you go.
Thing, it's good, too,
pickle
man.
Pizza. It's pickles, bacon, ranch, and cheese. And all I can think of is, like, I like all those things. How did I not think of that?
Oh, I'm stunned. Because, see, you like the pineapple and everything else.
I love it.
See, I'm not that. But this pickle is killing the pineapple. I'm not a fan of the pineapple on my pizza.
I like pineapple on my pizza.
You know why? It's because then when I warm up my pizza, when it's left over, the pineapple, I don't want my pineapple warmed up.
It doesn't survive very well. Mm-mm. You eat that the first time, then you pretty much have to throw it all away and just eat the pizza without it the next day. Yeah, that I understand.
Yeah, but the pickle, man, it gives a nice little juicy flavor of pickle juice on the pizza. Oh, outstanding.
We just had a nice couple stop and talk to us here in the commercial break. They said, we were out riding around. Heard you guys say that you were here. We came in.
Yeah, they definitely listened to the Blaine and Mickey Show on 104.5 The Zone, and they've been here before, too. So they were like, oh, yeah, we're going by. Check these guys out, him and his wife. Yeah.
Well, we're telling everybody we're going to be your neighbors soon. We're going to move down here and open up a Whole Foods-type grocery store. That's what we should do.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, now watch this. A discount Whole Foods.
100%. Yeah, we'll be cheaper. You can count on Hitman and Mickey's Whole Foods to get you through at a quality price with good value with, wholesome foods. The Titans were not a quality operation at a good value last year offensively. So we got into some of this Warren Sharp football stuff yesterday. And I said, he's done – all he does is all these threads. Because yesterday's thread was just basically about how inefficient the Titans' run game was. It was effectively they ran the ball on first time every time, no matter what was thrown against it. And even after they got a first down, they typically didn't have any momentum or sustain anything. I mean, I got the whole tweet thread. I can get into it. But I was telling you, oh, no, that's not even half of it. I got tons of terrible stuff from last year. And you said, don't do that, man. That makes my neck and my back hurt.
Yeah, it makes my neck and back hurt, but then I get excited. I go from the one end and like, oh, dang. And we still almost made the playoffs.
Still almost made the playoffs.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You want to hear some of this stuff?
And so that gives me, as long as the line is better, Tannehill stays healthy, I think we didn't win a couple of those games and we're in the playoffs. See, just like that. And just tweak the offense where they're, a little more unpredictable. That's what I'm begging for, and I think that's the route they're going. And then all of a sudden, now everything comes together. I think we'll surprise some teams. Based off what I've seen at their practices, I really like what I see on offense. So maybe to see if Vrabel lets Kelly really call the offense. And when I say that, I'm talking about we don't know if he's going to give him full autonomy where he can make all the calls. And actually, Vrabel may say something about going on third or fourth down or something what he may want, but the majority of the time. And if he lets that happen, I think this offense is going to be okay. Regardless of D-Hop or whoever it may be, I think as long as they don't have any big-time injuries to anybody, knock on wood, I think they'll be okay. And it may not be spectacular, but I think it will be okay. Better than it would have looked. It can't get any worse than it was last year. Especially in the second half.
Think if it was even average last year.
Yeah.
I think if they'd averaged 7, and I got second half stuff here, but think if they averaged 5.5 points. What if they'd averaged 7 or 8? Man. Just 7 or 8. 7 or 8. This is not fourth quarter. This is the whole second half. They averaged 5.5 points.
Well, then you add on, if the offensive line stays halfway healthy, Tannehill, the defensive backs, in and out of the lineup. We just talking about Fulton. He missed, 6 games or so, whatever it was. And then they finished last. And then we got to get the kicking game. Everybody's not talking about it, but I think it's huge, especially the way Vrabel plays ball.
Yep.
So and these guys look good at practice.
Yeah.
I'm giving them their props. But we all know practice and a game is totally different, especially when you're talking about a kicker.
Yeah.
And after watching some of those games of the Titans, they were, going back in history, playing some of the games, man, Aldell Grekus and Nedney. I mean, all those kickers were vital in a lot of those wins. So hopefully all that comes together. I think it's going to be a very competitive team, and I think the Titans are going to win the AFC South. I'm not buying into the Jaguars. Not like that. Now, I think they're going to be competing for it, but I think the Titans will get them. If they stay healthy in the offensive line and people see what this offense is, I think it's going to be something that's going to be enlightening a little bit.
Well, when we're talking about just being mediocre, what if you just had a competent offense? Just competent. And staying healthy is a big part of it. Not having twice daily out there. What is this brand new revamped offensive line? How well do they come together? What do they look like? Here's when you say, look, I have optimism about them winning the AFC South.
I do.
So there's a disconnect nationally because every national thing is – I've seen this term on so many national reporters. They say the Titans are – this is their word – straddling a rebuild, meaning, well, we're going to get these guys, but we're not going to get rid of Tannehill and Henry. So the national guys see a partial rebuild for the Titans. But I think the people around here think, as long as you have Tannehill and Henry, I mean, if they started Will Levis and cut Ryan Tannehill tomorrow, I'd go, okay, that's a rebuild.
Yeah.
But you still have Tannehill and you still have Henry with a competent offensive line in front of them. Mm-hmm. And if Tim Kelly can be a competent play caller, which, we saw the Titans have some success on opening drives last year, which they hadn't been having with Todd Downing. But then by the second half, we always talk about the game to end the season the year before last where the guy from the Bengals got the interception. He said, I knew exactly what they were going to do. He was over there calling it on the sidelines. I'm about to go get this.
Yeah.
And then he did it. So if they can adjust over the course of the game, because you were talking about this yesterday in the case of Downing, like he scouted other teams because you saw how he struck them to start the game.
Yep.
But the adjustments weren't there.
Yeah, once they made their adjustments, then what is your counter? And that's where you become an elite play caller and not just a good play caller or an average play caller. So I think I think if people go back and watch Kelly in 2019 and calling the plays there with the Texans, I think you'll get a better feel for what I've been talking about how he calls plays and how he opens up the offense, and you never feel like you're out of a game. Even against the Titans that season, he opened it up and just started whipping it around. Because they had to, it was a short clock because of, they got behind by so much. And then it really changed the game, and the Titans barely hung on to that to win that game. So I like what I saw. Even the tight ends and how they utilized them, I think will be a factor. So maybe that's the reason why they're not so pressed to get another receiver. Mm-hmm. And, by the way, the D-Hop deal, it doesn't matter if it's D-Hop, whoever it is. That means somebody – is not going to make the roster. And I say that I don't know if it'll be a receiver, and I could be at another position group, but that's definitely going to put some guys on notice. And, okay, are you just a special team guy that we need an emergency at receiver, or will it be another position, maybe like quarterback, because we only use so many wide receivers and we're more 3 tight ends, 5 wide receivers instead of 6 on game day. And that's not even counting in the equation of the third quarterback. So I just think it's going to be interesting if they do sign whoever it may be at wide receiver. How does that kind of affect the other players and them even being on the roster or not dressing for games? And I'm thinking of guys like Dow, McMath. I mean, like, what will their roles be? Say, okay, can you play special teams? McMath plays special teams, but – can they do without them and use other guys? Does not, the fair catching in kickoffs, does that take away from, we don't need a death piece for a special team guy if somebody goes down, because most of the time people are fair catching.
Just needed somebody to catch the ball.
Right.
Yeah. Which they've kind of leaned towards somebody just catch the ball on punt returns the last few years, especially after Phillips got hurt last year.
Mike Keefe said his surprise player is Kyle Phillips, who started off like, that first game versus the Giants, like, whoa.
Yep. And we saw him practice it.
He was doing that, yeah.
Oh, I had so many fans who tweeted, all y'all talked about was Kyle Phillips and how great he was. Well, we saw him practice every day. Yeah. Like when the Bucs came into town, you're like, the Bucs cornerbacks can't cover this guy.
But they couldn't
cover the
slot,
quick
the
guys.
Yep. None of them. All of them from Berry College, you name it, didn't matter.
That makes it kidsy.
They couldn't guard them. They were all too long, and those long corners aren't built for short area quickness. So they're that 6'1" guy who, on the long haul, can compete against the Hopkins on the outside, but they had no one. So they were using their safeties to guard those guys, and then they were always, a step too slow or something of that nature. So, I think Phillips is going to be productive. But I really believe outside they have to be able to do some things and be a threat. And Chig too. So we should see. I mean, a lot of people are expecting a lot out of unproven players. That's what makes me nervous. I want to believe that Phillips and Chig can be what we think they can be, but we don't know it until they actually do it. I mean, until you do it. I mean, he went 5 games and didn't get a target, I think, or something like that, or catch. It's like, what? And you can say it was early or not, but I think that was kind of in the middle of the season. And then Phillips, got injured. And I like what I saw. I said I like his route running. I studied him a lot in college. I really like what I saw. And if he didn't get injured, I thought, man, he could have been an impactful player at times, moving the chains. So you got 2 guys you can move the chains with, Phillips and Chig. Now, what are the other roles of the players? And now then those can change over time in different games. That's why they always talking about, Dow did this. I mean, not Dow, but NWI did this. And, another receiver, Kelly said did real well. The whole key to that is then you're saying that you want to go into a game that they can't key on one guy. But if they are really the dude, then they would be consistent throughout. Now, that's not to say that you won't have a game where you may not have, 5 catches. You may just have 1 catch. But you have to be able to do that game in and game out and not say and pick out one game and say they did it one time. Why can't they do it all the time? Well, to me, that's bad logic. It should be if they haven't shown you who they are yet, that is who they are. We got a big band of NWI, what he is.
3 years.
Yeah. So, now and then when you go talk about Phillips, you say, oh, well, he was injured last year. Okay, we got Chig. Okay, that's 1 year, first-year guys. You give them a little bit more leniency. But the other guys, when you're talking about them and them making plays, that's who they are. You can say, oh, we need them to be more consistent. No, that's who they are. If not, then they would be a stud. You're asking for a stud. If they were more consistent, then they would have 1,000 yards.
Right.
So it's just kind of interesting in the philosophy and the thought process in that is that they think every game is going to be a different guy. And it may be, but I sure would like to have that boss hog. And maybe they think that's Burks. But if Burks is not there, what happens if he gets injured? What happens? Then the receiver room gets very, very small. And when I say that, it's because this offense, they have to have one dude that is the dude, at least.
So are they – you've said this a lot. Their actions say they like their wide receiver.
They do.
Their actions say it. They didn't bring anybody else in. They drafted a guy in the 7th round. Their actions say they like what they have. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about, well, Chig's a tight end, but he and Burks, it's all potential.
Right.
Do you think part of the reason they trust that room is, well, they see them every day. They see that maturation. They see it. How much of it is I see it every day versus, well, we drafted them. They got to do it. They got to do it, whether we see it right now or we see it later.
Yeah, well, you try to say we want to trust in the coaches, and they're the one watching them every day. So until we see them in an actual game, and I'm a big guy on this, we can talk about practice. I done seen guys dominate practice and then come the lights click on and they disappear. So until I see it in an actual game, and that's how they should be thinking, that's when, unless you're a proven player,
right?
Until we see it in the game, do I believe it? Now, have you shown development? Oh, yeah, and that's all you can lean on. But that doesn't mean sometimes certain guys just got, when the lights click on, they like, this is my arena here. This is what I live for.
Dobbs in college, remember they say he didn't practice well?
Right. See, it's all of a sudden it goes to a whole nother level of focus and attention that I am going to dominate.
Right.
And I could say, I was that way. I was good at practicing early, but as time went on, it was just about like, let's game plan, understand what I need to do, and then how can I make plays, really at the end of the day. So I think sometimes practice can be overrated to a certain extent. That's bad to say because you really want to see it in practice, but maybe that's the height of what he will be. See, we don't know. There's a whole nother level when you get in the game. The game is faster. Practices, they're going fast. They're going hard. But there's a whole nother other ratchetness of speed that happens in a real live game. So until you see it in the game, do I believe it? And then that's kind of how I am. And maybe that's what they think, but they're taking too much into what we saw at practice. Sometimes as a coach, it's a field deal. Hey, man, I could tell this guy's got it. He's got it. He could be just doing okay at practice. You'd be like, but this guy's got it. He showed me enough. Where another guy, maybe doing a whole bunch of things, be like, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with him. So, yeah. So it's interesting. And that's the coaches is working with them day in and day out. But it's not like a book, like you're doing your essay and you're hitting all these bullet points and they're hitting them. That doesn't mean it's always going to work out that way. Not in sports. That's what's so great about sports. Sometimes those bullet points are wrong.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes the guy who doesn't look like he can do it can really do it. And the guy who looks like, oh, this guy's going to be unstoppable,
that's exactly what happens. So it's the unknown, and nobody really knows until they see him in the game. Coaches, fans, former players, current players. I sit there and practice. Sometimes they're like, man, we would cut this guy. And for this guy, I'm like, no way. And then another time I'm like, oh, man, we should have kept the other guy. And they'll be like, oh, nope, this guy's better. Yeah, so I get it wrong, I get it right. I mean, you just don't know. Unpredictable. It's like almost when you're thinking a great high school player and somebody goes look and say, oh, he rushed for 1,400 yards. And you go look him up, he's, 5'5", 140 pounds. He has no shot of playing in the Division I. There's no way. Mm-hmm. It's impossible. But he led the state in rushing. Mm-hmm. See? So you got to see him up amongst the greats. And when I'm talking about greats, I'm talking about the starters in this league. And so you can take it to the next level.
All right, I got numbers for you when we come back. Sharp football numbers. I'll give you a couple categories. One, teams hurt most by their fourth quarters. I'll tell you that. And this one's going to blow your mind. And then the other one, percent of second-half drives that went 3 and out. And I'll just tell you, in both of these stats, the Titans figure very prominently, extremely prominently. And I'll tell you just how much next on Blaine and Mickey. All right, here's my challenge for you. When you go home this weekend, I want you to see if your car will fit in the garage. Now, some of you are like me, like I've been for the last however many years. You know it's not going to fit in there. Maybe you think, gosh, I can move a bunch of, hunting stuff and bicycles and things. I can make it fit. Well, I'll tell you who can make it fit is Hello Garage. My guy Michael and Hello Garage, they are the garage wizards. And here's what they do. Not only do they have the best garage flooring systems, like, those cool kind of sparkly floors, they got all kinds of cool stuff in that regard. And it's the most durable. It's the best. Their garage flooring, if you're even considering that, call Hello Garage. But also, if you'd like to park the car in the garage, if you'd like to have a place for all that stuff, your tools, your workout gear, your toys, right, all that stuff, they have the best storage solutions as well. Stop parking outside in the elements. Stop just throwing junk in there like it's a giant junk drawer. It's not. It's your garage. It's part of your house. Make it an important part of your house by calling Hello Garage today. 1-888-59-GARAGE or go online at HelloGarage.com and schedule a free estimate today with Hello Garage. Blaine and Mickey,
Oh, I see
104.5 The Zone. We're just out here at Twin Creeks Marina. CJ's dancing. We're
Yeah, he's
eating.
giving to Michael Jackson.
Sitting on a floating restaurant. Guy just walked by and looked at the hitman and said, "I'm the best." You told that story like 3 weeks ago.
Man, I wouldn't have bet that I would have said that in the game, but I was definitely feeling it there being in Indianapolis playing the Colts in the playoffs. Yeah, that was there. They caught me right on the sideline there and really feeling at home with a lot of fans and buying a lot of tickets for not only high school and college teammates and friends and family. And then seeing Father Kelly, the late, great Father Kelly, who was the principal there at my high school, who worked for the Colts at the time. He was their pastor for the team, chaplain. And, man, hugging him before the game and just walking around. And, man, he said, "Woody, I don't know if they really know who you are." And I said, "Father Kelly, I'm about to show them today." And he just looked at me and said, "Man, I'm a Colts fan, but, boy, we're going to be in a lot of trouble if they see." I said, "I'm going to do it for you, Father Kelly." And it was laughing. And then when that happened on that sideline, it's funny. I didn't know where he was at. Just coincidental when that my helmet, I actually took it off, but it came unstrapped. Because you can't take your helmet off, but it came unstrapped, so it gave me a leeway. When I said I'm the best, I looked dead at Father Kelly and said, "I'm the best." That's who I was really saying it to.
Oh, see, now you didn't even.
Yeah, I didn't give it up. Yeah, that was it.
You were saying that to your friend standing there. Oh, wow.
Because I was letting him know what I said before the game is what I actually meant. Yeah, and that I was going to show you. Yeah, so that was a game when you felt like a lot of things hit the pinnacle. We had great pass rush. I was in my 6th year as a safety. You kind of feel like you're invincible. You understand everything you've seen on offense. You know your limitations, what you can and can't do and get away with. And they hit me in a time that window there. We went to the Super Bowl, and then the next year with the Ravens, that 13-3 team 2 years in a row. I probably was at the peak of my career as far as my play. Yeah, so there's a lot of factors into that.
You know who wasn't at the peak of its career last year? The Titans offense. Listen to this from Sharp Football.
Oh, my, Sharp.
The Titans were by far, again, Warren Sharp. Does
he like the Titans or don't like the Titans?
I think he's just like this is just what it is. I'm just calling it like I see it. He's an analytics guy.
I got
he makes all those charts.
Now, I see him
logos
on Twitter sometime, and I'm just trying to figure out who he is, but he seems like that kind of guy. I kind of resonate with those guys.
And I don't know if he's a former scout or is he like a computer guy, because they all kind of have a different background.
He's an analytic guy, more so in his background.
So here you go. From Sharp Football, Warren Sharp. The Titans were by far the team hurt the most by fourth quarters last season. They led in 11 games through 3 quarters. The Titans led in 11. They only wound up winning 7. They led in 11 games through 3 quarters, the 6th most in the NFL, and would have been good enough for the AFC South crown and the AFC 3 seed if they'd won those 11 games. Instead, their margin in the fourth quarter was minus 54 points. It was minus 54.
That's not funny.
Minus 54. I have to laugh to keep from crying.
Oh, my gosh.
They recorded minus .27 EPA per play, estimated point. However, their estimated points in the fourth quarter were negative .27 per play.
Yeah, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus.
Thank you.
The father from Indy, you should have said, "Hey,
Kelly.
You should have said, hey, man, in like 22 years, could you go ahead and pray ahead for the Titans offense because they're going to need it."
Oh, my gosh.
Minus .27 per play in the fourth quarter.
I'd love to know what it was halfway through the season and then as the season went on. And they knew these numbers as a coaching staff because they definitely have someone doing it, even if it's a back staff or analyst doing this stuff, man. That is blasphemy. That would perturb me.
There's more.
What?
There's more to how bad this was.
Right.
They ranked dead last in the NFL by far. And this is Warren Sharp. And their offense was so bad that in the last 22 years, only one team was worse in the fourth quarter, and that was the 06 Raiders. And they had like 2 journeyman backup, Andrew Walter and somebody else were the quarterbacks.
What? Yeah. Okay. Now, if once I hear all of this news right here, this is the time, unfortunately, it may not fit for everyone, that you change your offense. Now, I was part of a change.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I was no longer with the Titans. We run in the 46 defense. Cut Blaine, cut all these other guys that fit the scheme, move forward. Veteran guys also come back the next year, no more 46 defense. Implemented at times in certain situations,
right,
but they were a cover 2 scheme team. Yeah. So when you hear those numbers, that tells me that they need to change their offense. And now I'm not saying the whole thing. There's certain parts of that offense that actually works. So when I now listen to them talking about Kelly and changing the offense and the verbiage and all these different things, I think that's what's happening. Because when you hear those numbers as a head coach, and Vrabel is one of the better coaches, and he's going to listen and follow the numbers and everything else, it's time to change your offense. At least not that offense. And you can say, oh, it's going to change because it's down. No, because coaches are creatures of habit. If they think things are working, they will continue down that road, regardless, because they're going to say, guess what? That's what I know. Well, guess what we know? We're going to know that stretch is going to still stay in there when you're giving it to the king, right? But some of those things are going to have to change, and specifically the passing game. So that's where I'm really looking at it, and maybe some different running type plays, some misdirections and things of that nature, instead of the stretch and letting him read. So, when I hear that, they have to make changes. Seriously. I mean, serious changes. Like, when we watch it, we should say, oh, this is a different offense.
Do you feel like it's going to be that with Tim Kelly? You only got to see a little bit in shorts.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I want to say it will be, but how much in an actual game? That's why I said we're going to see if Vrabel lets him run his offense. Yeah. And I think, people won't say this, but Vrabel had to go through the maturation process too. When you're a first-time head coach, you want your hands in every pot. You want to control everything. But guess what? As time goes on, as you become more of a veteran and seasoned head coach, you start relinquishing duties to other people because you trust in what they are doing in your message that you're giving them. And then you're only calling critical plays and critical downs. Now, that's not to say you can't question them at halftime. Hey, man, why'd you run this play? We should have been going this direction. But to me, that's the maturation process of Vrabel to now put him in this top consideration of elite coaches in the league. I still think he's at the bottom of the elite, the better coaches in the league. But until he turns the corner and relinquishes the play calling duties to his coaches, I think that's when he'll then be – because I think – when I watch games, sometimes I feel like it's two different people calling the game. And it shouldn't look like that. It should always look consistently in the same. I'm not on the headset, but that's how I feel. So that means I feel like somebody's coming in and saying, hey, run this, do this, do this. Then go, dang, that doesn't even make sense. You didn't even set up the offense one play to the next play. It never led to something that was going to be big at the end. And I learned all this from Heimendinger when I'm watching him, and I'm up here calling out his plays at practice while I'm on the field. Run something else. I know what you're about to run based off of these splits.
You're right.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of guy I was. Because guess what? I felt like I wanted to make our offense better just like they were going to try to make our defense better. So I think that's the final peg, and now is the time because you have the opportunity with a new coordinator and someone you trust that he's known for a while now. So, and he was on the staff. He got to see how Vrabel operates as a head coach and the things that he does and doesn't like on offense. So this guy has an advantage, Kelly.
All right, when we come back, I've got one more set of second half stats that I want to share. Then we can bury all this and we'll only look forward. I've been holding on to these, though. And again, I'm sharing these because you think that was historically terrible. What if they were just league average at some of this stuff? But there was one more thing that they were bafflingly terrible at. Oh. And I want to share that next, and then we'll turn the page.
Oh, please do. If not, I'm going to jump in there with the fish.
Then we'll move on. Then we will move on. One more second half bad stats with the Titans next. It's coming up. We are live at Twin Creeks Marina Resort Village. You can come check this out anytime in beautiful Winchester, Tennessee. You can check it out now while you're cyber loafing at work. TwinCreeksTN.com.
It's happening.
Maybe you've been looking for that getaway spot for you and your crew, for you and your family. Maybe you're a bride or a groom. You're about to get married. You're looking for the perfect spot to do it. Maybe you just want to buy a house and live by a lake and watch the seasons change. Well, the answer to all that is Twin Creeks. Nashville's Hidden Lake Getaway, a little over an hour from Middle Tennessee. You can get here fast. It's on Timms Ford Lake, which is amazingly beautiful. How do I know? Because I'm here right now. I'm sitting in the floating restaurant, floating on the water, watching fish swim by. Most relaxing place ever. Man, they got a great spot to get married here. They got a great pavilion where you can have your reception, or maybe you want to have a family reunion. You can do it here. Maybe you got like an office full of people you manage. You're trying to put together some kind of work retreat. Nailed it if you pick Twin Creeks. Listen, you got to go to the website. You got to get some more information. Come down here, bring the family for a relaxing weekend. Whatever event or whatever, just anything that you're looking for, this is the place to do it, and you will love it here. And, man, is it peaceful. TwinCreeksTN.com. Go there now for more info today.
good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. College World Series, the National Championship Series is set in stone, an all-SEC matchup. LSU walked it off in the 11th inning Thursday, beating Wake Forest 1-0. They'll face Florida in a 3-game series in Omaha, with Game 1 starting tomorrow at 6 p.m. Saturday night, Nashville Soccer Club will stay on the road, heading to Columbus in an Eastern Conference rematch. Nashville defeated Columbus Crew 3-1 at Geodis Park Memorial Day weekend. Nashville still second in the East. Columbus currently 6. Kickoff is at 6:30. You can hear the call right here on The Zone. Pre-game coverage starts at 6. NBA draft in the books. 2 local prospects hearing their names called. Former Cane Ridge and Alabama star Brandon Miller, 2nd overall to the Charlotte Hornets, and former Belmont star Ben Shepherd taken 26 by the Indiana Pacers. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. It is the Fridayest Friday of all time here for us because we're doing the show on a floating restaurant in the middle of Timms Ford Lake at Twin Creeks. A beautiful, beautiful venue. You can live here. You can boat here. You can eat here. You can do it all. Here's the thing. You can also come and visit this place. Yep. Hold your next event here, wedding or bar mitzvah or just whatever you want to do. They got a space to do it. And it's beautiful here. Anniversary. I'll sneak down here with your lady. You can rent a place. You can rent a boat.
Ooh, a prom.
Let's don't give the teenagers any crazy ideas there, Hitman.
Oh, man, they'll be jumping off boats. Hey, man, they better watch out. These fish look pretty big, man. Oh, no, man. They start nibbling on me. I think I'd have a lot of marks on me, man.
A lot of fish here. There's a turtle who's visited us early, baby turtle that Kirby saw.
Oh,
it's like
man.
being in that
Are turtles
episode of the
they
Jeff
bite?
Irwin show.
Kirby, they bite? Like, would they bite me if I was in there swimming around in the lake?
They wouldn't come to get you. Yeah.
The pinky toe?
They don't necessarily like see you up here and think I'm a bite.
Right? No, I know.
I'm a bite that
So
guy.
what makes them want to act on bite? Because you see people swimming with turtles in the water all the time, and you just wonder like what makes them act and to go.
Well, these
bite.
aren't sea turtles.
Okay.
Which are very docile.
You get in these guys' space or their face though.
Something
in their
dangling,
face.
They're going to go, hey, that looks like
That
food.
looks like food. Yeah. Like toes, fingers.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Or appendages.
Recognize that. I'm probably going to eat that.
How is their vision real good? Like they can see from far away?
I'd really.
That's a good question.
You stumped me on that one.
The reason why I'm asking
I have
is
no
like,
idea.
okay, what if I'm like 10 feet from him?
I know
and
snapping
then
turtles
you're talking
have
about,
pretty good eyesight.
he'll nibble on your fingers or your toes. I'm like, what? Dang, is he looking for my fingers and toes, or is he just like,
It's
hey
something
man, what
moving,
is
and
that?
it's like, hey, that looks like something I could eat.
Oh my, dang it! I got. Are there any clear lakes going on around in Tennessee?
Dale Hollow.
That's the clear one, huh?
Oh,
and sometimes people say clear, and I'm like, I don't think that's
Well, no,
super
it has a
clear.
slate bottom, so you can literally look down to the bottom.
You can see,
okay, like,
slate
yeah.
bottom.
Yeah,
so that like
yeah.
most are
Yeah.
ground. You have mud.
Right. Oh, some mud under here.
Dale Hollow is a slate bottom lake.
Slate
Oh,
bottom.
And you can literally be in 30 feet of water and look down and see the bottom.
Come on now.
Yeah.
I need.
It won't be
I need to go
swishy.
see
I mean,
it.
it'll get muddy after a rain like any
Oh,
other place,
okay.
but
Sure.
once that
Well,
clears
I mean,
out,
except when it's not clear. It's clear
it's
until
incredibly
it is.
clear.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Shallow
don't-
as well.
I don't know. You go lake all the time?
Not now. When I was a kid, I was waterlogged. We lived 5 minutes from a lake.
Oh, okay.
See, he's telling you everything from this is.
His experience.
It was a long time ago. though.
Cordell
He's not a
Hull
kid
Lake.
anymore.
Yeah.
Center Hill Lake.
Right. I wasn't on the lake unless I was at a camp. Yeah, we're going to go fishing today.
Well, if we weren't working, we were at the lake.
I was like,
We were
oh,
at school.
my. Man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that worm on that. I was like, oh, this thing is so slimy. Yeah, it was not good there. There at Culver Military Academy.
Where Bud Adams went to school.
Yeah. Me and Bud was hanging
George
out.
Steinbrenner, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a whole bunch of laundry lists.
Hitman.
That's the only two that I can recall.
They have like a plaque up there, and it's like famous alumni: George Steinbrenner, Hitman,
No.
Bud Adams,
Yeah. No, it says Blaine Elwood Bishop.
Blaine Elwood Bishop.
That was who I was at the time.
Well, you were only there for your bass drum playing skills.
Yeah,
We
that
know
was-
that they
that was the
recruited
bass
you
drum.
to play the bass drum.
That's the only thing. My talents took me to the bass drum.
Well, This guy's trying to recruit you in his Doobie Brothers tribute band here. Said they needed a bass drummer.
I had no musical talent at all. Singing,
Tell that
playing
to
anything. I was
Culver
nothing like mixed.
Medical Academy. They can military academy, not medical. They were. Although there's probably some doctors that went there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Second half drives.
Kenneth went there too.
Kenneth Adams.
Yeah.
Kenneth's a good dude. Kenneth, if you're listening, what up, man? How you doing? Kenneth's probably not liking the show because we've been talking about the Titans offense last year. But I say all this stuff just to say that's what makes me optimistic for this year. Last year was so bad, you think it can't get any worse. Offensively. Couldn't get worse. And this was another one. This is one that I've had.
This is your last one.
It's my last one. Well, there's this.
I don't want to be. You're going to see me get eaten by a turtle.
Stop that.
Oh, man.
Second half drive percentage. Drives that went 3 and out. This is from Sharp Football.
Second half.
This is the last day we're doing this. But I've had these saved. I was going to do them sometime. We have beautiful setting today. Sad stats for a beautiful background. Percent of second half drives that went 3 and out from Sharp Football. The second worst team in the NFL was the Chicago Bears. The Bears, 41%. That's pretty bad. Second half drives, they went 3 and out percentage, 41%. From there, you go to 39. That was New Orleans and the Rams were a disaster last year, and so were the Saints. Disasters, right? 38%, Dallas, New England, Tampa Bay, and Denver. 38% of their drives in the second half went 3 and out.
So I'm leading up. I haven't heard the Titans, but I'm wondering where we're going with this, man. How bad is it going to get?
41% of the Bears' drives
went 3
and out in the second half, and you're like, man, Justin Fields, they'd have a great roster. Maybe I understand that, but holy cow, 41%.
Right. Bad offensive line and
all that.
Receivers injured, out.
The Titans
do not get to 50. If you at 50.
48%. 48% of their second half drives went 3 and out. I don't know how you don't just trip and fall and get to 47%.
No wonder I kept on saying that the defense is getting tired. As I kept on saying, they're going to break because there's just no way you can continue to go out. Remember what I used to say on the sideline? I go, please get a first down.
Yep.
Because then you give us 3 more plays to rest. And they don't know how much that benefits. I don't care how great your defense is. The wear and tear of just playing multiple plays and doubling down than your offense, it eventually gets you. Fatigue gets you at some point. Dang. They basically are 50%.
50%. Half the drives.
Good Lord.
So, again, when people say all the national guys, why in the world are the people at Nashville even partially fired up about this season? How could you have any optimism? It's because CJ's holding up a picture of Todd Downing. It's because it can't get worse than that. I mean, the Bears were considered an abject disaster by everybody, and the Titans were 7 percentage points worse in the second half on third down, on 3 and outs. 48%, which is just might as well say 50. Just round it up to 50.
You can't even go to injuries or anything like that because you did well in the first half. Yep. Halfway decent.
Better than that. 48%. So you start to think, how in the world, and this goes back to all the stuff from Warren Sharp yesterday, where he talked about the Titans leaning on the run game, but not having continued success with it. They couldn't sustain any success. Which makes it even more
because they were scared to throw the ball, whether it was the quarterback or the offensive line, so they had no choice but to run. That's what the coach is going to say.
Yep. Who the bleeper are we going to throw it to? Remember Mike Vrabel said that.
Well, when he said that, I think he was referring to the receivers. Yep. I didn't feel like he was because we can't protect.
You want to hear one last protection stat, though? You want to hear this one? I got one more that's part of this, although this was from Pro Football Focus. Part of how that they got to where they were. The Titans ranked last in Pro Football Focus pass blocking efficiency and generated just 1.0 yard per attempt in their run game.
Dang. Man. Yep, it's time to make a change. And I'm talking about style of offense. I'm not just talking about the coordinator. At some point, you evolve and then you pivot as a coach. And it's time to make some changes. Because guess what? Everybody else in the league is watching, and they're finding ways to beat it. So you got to pivot. This is the time to pivot. And that may give us an upper hand. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen here. I'll be really disappointed.
If you were playing the Titans, one of the first 3 games, how much Texans film would you go back and watch when Tim Kelly was calling the plays?
The entire season.
Okay.
The entire season. And he did some things that's way different. So you'll match that up with, if I was probably watching, I'd watch all of that, his different running game styles as well, based off of what the success of the Titans had with Derrick Henry running the ball. And, he's got numerous tapes of that. You got all off season. I'd be all in that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. I love that part of that chess match versus the coordinator, see if I can find out what they like to do, and then in certain situations. And, man, once you perfect it, it is like taking candy from a baby.
And 3 games.
Or Kirby.
Didn't you tell me, 3 games is your sample size?
Yeah,
typically.
Three games in a season now. Usually the beginning of there was only one time that I was ever nervous about going into a game. Every game, the first game. Yeah, because they always throw some chink in the armor that first game. That little surprises, the little changes they made to their offense that it was different than what they did last year. And it could be only 5 plays, but those 5 plays could be difference makers. So I would always play it straight up, I would call it, in the first game of every season. Even though if I had the tips, I want to make sure that I follow the guideline of what they think I'm going to do. And then I'm going to do it. And then the second half, I'm okay. All right, now I'm going to start playing off my instinct. Because they are doing exactly what I thought they were going to do. Because I didn't like hesitation in my game. So when I hesitated, that means I was a little unsure. Because I was a key read react guy. So I never felt comfortable if I had to sit there and hesitate a little bit. Or if I was out there with some guys I felt like were unsure that I'm playing with, and I give them the freaking call anyway, and then they don't do what they're supposed to do. So then now I'm trying to cover their behind at the same time
and do
spot. My job. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's what people don't understand. Trusting in your teammates that they'll do their job. Some guys just get out there and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I got contained right here. But guess what? I saw on film, man, when they do this one thing, I'm going to go inside, I'm going to make this great play. And then they don't do that play.
And you just got a guy standing there in no man's land.
No, then you see me. We were just watching the film yesterday. I said I jumped up and started. I was up there jumping, putting on a tantrum like a kid. I was like, dang it, because somebody didn't do their job. And then now I got to fill in. One time, I think it was Eddie Robinson or somebody. I said I was going to run in their back. I said, I'm going to break your ribs, man. You jump in my gap. Stay out there because I'm coming down full force. And he sees me coming. He's going to come out there to you. I said, you jump in my gap, I'm going to hit you in your ribs. And it's not going to feel good because it's going to be my helmet. And I'm be running.
I'm going to try to
So
stay
he
out
thought
of
I
your
was
gap
lying.
on this show.
So
you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, crack ribs.
Oh.
Fracture.
Oh,
Yeah,
friendly fire.
Yep, sorry. I told you. Don't do that, bro. And I wasn't trying to do it either, by the way. It was like, hey, man, when I get this force going called the Hitman, it don't move out your way.
Ain't stopping.
Yeah, because I ain't no telling where I may end up being out on a stretcher. So, hey, that's the way it was, the life of the NFL.
Well, John Glennon was covering those teams, and he still covers the Titans today, and he covers the Preds. Let's get John Glennon in the mix next. We can ask him his thoughts as the Titans off-season, this quick off-season starts as we get ready for 2022. That's right. Glennon Sports, the Nashville Post, will join us next on Blade and Mickey live from Twin Creeks Marina in Winchester, Tennessee.
For many of you who have lived here a long time, you already know Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee area for your European car repair needs now for 24 years. And we've all gotten to watch them grow. And I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off. Well, we are now proud to announce the 5th location in Mount Juliet for Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road, right across the street from Dairy Queen. And Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. Pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in the barn in his backyard of a single-wide trailer and now grow to 5 locations repairing thousands of cars each month. And at Eurofix, you'll get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. Don't forget to tell them Blaine said you.
You want to be starting your Friday, you need to get to where we are. Twin Creeks Marina Resort. Oh, my gosh, this place, people eating. We're literally sitting on a restaurant that floats on the water. Twin Creeks. I mean, if you can hear the sound of our voice, you're probably about an hour and change away. You could be down here and watch the dang sunset. Just bring your significant other down here and get married right next to the water. They got a place you can do it. John Glennon said to join us here in just a minute, but he is currently experiencing phone difficulties. No phone difficulties down here. Just crystal clear waters and crystal clear phone service. And
it's getting packed up in here too, man.
Pizza made with pickles, which we
I
reluctantly
tried.
First
First-timer, it was really good.
Fantastic.
Really good. I'm dead serious on that one.
They make pizza here.
I'm perturbed that I didn't come up with that idea.
It's 4 things: ranch, cheese, pickles, bacon. Like, that's 4 of the food groups right there.
And that was on that pizza, too, bacon.
Oh, man. You put bacon on anything?
Oh, my.
The ranch, cheese, pickles, bacon.
Yeah. Can it be turkey bacon, man?
Yeah, no. John Glennon probably. Does John Glennon eat turkey bacon? He joins us now.
I eat turkey bacon,
at
man.
Glennon Sports, John Glennon of the Nashville Post. That's where he does his writing now. His byline hangs at the Nashville Post. JG, are you a turkey bacon guy or a regular bacon guy?
Depends how fat I am at the time when the offering is coming out.
Oink.
If there's considerable fat hanging over the waistline, turkey bacon sounds like a good alternative. If I'm feeling healthy about myself, bring on the real deal.
Oh, wow.
Amen to that. Well, we know how different turkey bacon is from regular bacon. Let me ask you, how different is the Titans' offense going to be this year? Will it be turkey bacon or regular bacon?
Well, if turkey bacon could be defined as a more efficient, style of bacon, I think we can lean towards that. I do think, that there seemed to be a greater level of comfort that we saw out there. Things did seem to be moving at a quicker pace. Players talked about, the change in verbiage and how it made things a little bit simpler out there. So I think that we're going to see some change from that standpoint. It remains to be seen, of course, just how much it changes in terms of, we have seen for so many years that this offense is kind of run-centric. Everything goes through Derrick Henry. And while it is nice to say, things will change considerably under a new offensive coordinator, you can only really do so much of that, maybe until your personnel changes, I think, also. So I think it'll be somewhat different, but at the same time, you're looking at a wide receiver core that is not the deepest and has not proven the most talented yet. And certainly you're looking at a Derrick Henry running back who has proven himself and has a great track record. So I think it'll be some change, certainly, but, with the personnel, there's only so much you can do. You can't do a radical throw it around the park offense, probably with the personnel that the Titans have right now.
I know you got into this on the Believe in Titans podcast. That's the other place where you do your business with one of Blaine's former teammates, D-Walk and David Beauclair. You guys got into this. Derrick Henry's season and workload, what do you think it looks like in the new offense? This is something Blaine has been wondering about too.
Yeah, I think it'll be reduced a little bit, but, lowering the bar a little bit for Derrick Henry isn't saying much when you're throwing out usually about 320 or 350 carries per game. I'm thinking that total may come down. In my mind, maybe if he averages, say, 18 to 20 carries a game, and we'll throw in even maybe a couple of, a game or two missed because of injury, as he's starting to get up in years, maybe that puts you in the, again, I'll say in the, maybe close to 300 carries again. But I think it's certainly time that we see a little bit of a transition there. As good, and I will say as great as Derrick Henry is, we have seen some slight decline in some numbers the last couple of years. We have not seen quite the explosive breakaway runs that we might have a year or two earlier. So I think it's, important to start that transition away. And I think to add to that, too, we saw an awful lot of Tajay Spears, in the off season, used in a variety of different ways. And I think this is a guy with a lot of skills, and I think they want to use those. So I think that will naturally take a few carries away from Derrick Henry. And I mentioned this on the podcast too. There's always that kind of a dilemma when you talk about, lowering the carries for Derrick Henry. It's nice to say that and say, hey, we'll take some of the workload off, we'll be less predictable and so forth. But then you say, well, will we still be getting the same Derrick Henry effect? Because we all know how effective Derrick Henry is when he gets up into 20 to 30 carries and starts pounding on those offensive linemen, and how effective he usually is in third and fourth quarters, when he gets a lot of his bigger runs. Are you going to have that same effect if you're only running him, say, 15 to 18 to 20 times as opposed to more than that?
Got our guy John Glennon on with us at Glennon Sports, Nashville Post, Believe in Titans podcast.
Man, that was great stuff there on Derrick Henry, because I always wondered, if you're going to tweak this offense, how is Derrick Henry going to be utilized in this offense? And the reason why I always say that is because he's kind of a one-trick pony, is what really people don't want to say. He's a great runner of running backs, and that's it. So if you tweak the offense and then he's not up to speed with his carries and he's not part of the passing game, he's not a part of the protection scheme, then what is his actual role going to be? So I'm interested to see how this goes along, where he fits in. It's strange to say Derrick Henry fitting into this offense if it's a little more, let's say, pass more often than they did last couple seasons.
Yeah, I agree with you. My comrade who you mentioned there, David Beauclair, raised a good point too in that regard. This is certainly not the first time the question of hey, maybe it's time to cut back a little bit on Derrick Henry's carries,
right,
a little bit. We've heard that from previous offensive coordinators here as well. But then as you get into the season, and Derrick Henry is very, very effective, and he is providing a pretty nice security blanket. I think offensive coordinators in the past have gone down that path and said, geez, hard to go away from this guy when it's so successful, and it's setting up the play action passing game, and it's providing us with a way late in games to kill the clock as well. Mm-hmm. Now, all of that didn't work as well last season, but in general, if you look at the bigger picture, that formula has worked pretty well for the Titans. So as easy as it is to say it's time to throw more, it's time to do this, that, and the other, it has been a pretty effective formula up until, parts of last year, certainly.
No doubt. We're on with John Glennon from Nashville Post. So give us your whole thoughts on this whole DeAndre Hopkins, watch and what's going on right now. And would you actually sign him, and for how much?
I think, the Titans situation is one that they are very, very much in need of an experienced receiver, and not only experienced, but a very talented wide receiver. So I think, I would certainly try to find a way to pony up. I don't know if I'm certainly not willing to pay, those are kind of money that Odell Beckham got, which is what I believe $15 million or so a year. I'm not sure if I'd really cough that kind of money up if it came to it. But I'd probably get pretty close, in terms of an incentive package anyway. I thought it was significant. I kind of got a sense that, just from reading and hearing things, that maybe he was pretty close to signing with New England on that visit. I got the idea that the Patriots really kind of put a full-court press on. There was talk that even after he kind of left the facility, before he left town, they made another run at him. And we certainly saw on social media guys like Matthew Judon, posting pictures and of La Familia with him in the locker room. And Mac Jones couldn't stop saying nice things about him at the at his availability too. So I kind of thought that something might happen there. The fact that it did not happen, I think, kind of puts everybody back at level terms right now. And right now, I think it's probably one of these things that my guess is we'll probably still be talking about this in about another 3 weeks or so, because there is simply no need for DeAndre Hopkins to make up his mind right now. And the longer that he waits, maybe a team, is looking at its cap and wants to make some moves, cuts loose a receiver and says, hey, we've got some more room now. We need to DeAndre Hopkins, maybe another team that's perhaps closer to being a Super Bowl contender, starts reassessing priorities and says, yeah, let's take another run at DeAndre Hopkins. Or even if you got so far as to training camp, and it hadn't happened, signing hadn't happened, if a team loses a very good wide receiver and becomes in need of a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, well, that's going to up his market value too. So no real point in DeAndre Hopkins, signing immediately, which I guess is maybe good and bad for everybody involved. It's kind of good for us in the media, I think, because we've at least got something to kick around all off season long, right? And every little tweet or social media outburst, we can speculate further on it. But I'm sure if you're a Titans fan or one of the teams involved, you'd probably like a little closure and preferably a little closure, with DeAndre signing with your team.
Well, one more D-Hop question, and that is, how does it affect the roster if not only D-Hop, but any wide receiver that they bring in, who then will be maybe on the chopping block? And it doesn't even have to be a receiver. I'm just thinking, just because it's a receiver room, do you think that's going to put some other guys a little nervous in them keeping their job?
I'm sure, obviously it has to bump somebody, but I think they're it's just a case of rearranging your priorities. And right now, when you look at the priorities for the Titans, getting better at the wide receiver position has to be a number one. We can look at that wide receiver room and we can say, okay, there is some untapped potential, we think, in Treylon Burks, who certainly looked the part of a much improved wide receiver during the off season. Kyle Phillips, if you take that very small sample size of what we saw from Kyle Phillips last year, I think he got targeted 9 or 10 times in that first game, by Ryan Tannehill. So certainly there was chemistry and a relationship there. So you look at guys in the room and you say there's potential there, but there's not a lot of proven track record in that wide receiver room. So that to me just has to be a number one priority. And if you bring him in, you're making as DeAndre Hopkins tweeted the other day, you're making your other guys better. He's going to help the other guys out. He's going to help Treylon Burks, take away attention from him, because certainly we expect Burks to be swamped in coverage right now. So sure, you're going to have to bump somebody, whether it's from the receiver room or elsewhere. But hey, priorities are priorities, and that's number one. In my mind, for the Titans.
No doubt. We're with John Glennon from the Nashville Post.
So who do you think offensively is primed for a bigger breakout, Chig or Burks? You got to pick one and bet $1,000 of Blaine's money in Vegas.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
$10,000.
I see. Okay, that's a lot of turkey bacon on the line right now.
Yeah.
That's more expensive than the regular stuff.
Turkey bacon, man.
That's right. I like. I guess I'll have to say. I'll probably have to say Burks with a bigger leap, just because he did less than Chig last year.
Nice.
You know what I
that's
mean?
that Virginia education.
Yeah.
That's right. Working the math if I can there, but I think Chig is going to have a big year. I'm guessing. I think 50, 55 catches, I think is a good number for Chig. I think they're really going to target him. Tim Kelly, the offensive coordinator, what did he spend almost all of his time last year doing? Was working with the tight ends, as the passing game coordinator. Anytime we were out there watching practice, that's what he was doing. He knows full well what Chig can do. He has worked extensively with tight ends in his past, so I think he'll really utilize Chig. But I think kind of the base from where Treylon Burks is coming from, I think because of what happened in the off season, because of his conditioning, because of the injuries that happened during the season, because he was his rookie year, I just don't think we got to see much of the Treylon Burks that everyone expects. And from from everything we looked at here in the off season, he looks like a completely new person. Sounds like a new person, looks like a new guy, feeling so much more confident. So I think the jump, maybe in terms of percentage and production, will be better for him. And even more so, again, if they can find someone to take some of that attention away from him, so that he won't be getting doubled on such a regular basis, I really think there's a high ceiling for Traylon Burks in year 2.
So that's a question about the current Titans. We asked this one yesterday. In your prime, you could have this guy as your lead running back in his prime. Eddie George, CJ2K, or King Henry in his prime. You get that guy.
Who is it?
Yeah, wow. That's a pretty good. Good
math
group.
not working too well right now, huh?
We're just hammering you with these questions. We asked the hard questions, John.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I guess it's hard to say if there was one point, but not at the other. I can't work it on this equation. So I'll go. Maybe it's recency bias, but I'll go with Derrick Henry. At his absolute best, because I would say that he kind of combines the best of both of the other guys. He's a big enough physical guy that, when it comes time to run that 4-minute offense at the end of the game and overpower defensive linemen like Eddie George used to do so often, Derrick Henry was good enough to do that. At the same time, though he certainly doesn't have the unbelievable speed of CJ2K or the unbelievable breakaway ability, I do think he has certainly enough of that, especially in his prime, that he was a huge home run threat and still is a significant home run threat. So I'll go with old Derrick Henry there. It has nothing to do with the fact that maybe interviewing him several times in the coming year, and I won't be interviewing the other guys either. We'll go with big Derrick there.
Okay, so how about this? Rank them. So Henry's 1. Who's 2 and who's 3?
Oh my goodness!
Yes, I just thought
You're crushing it, man. You're crushing it.
Holy cow!
Put your back against the wall, man. I'm gonna throw some hammers at you.
I think I'll try and weasel out of this one. Also, let's see. I think obviously CJ2K had some more incredible athletic abilities, with the speed and the breakaway ability, the home run threat. But for what he did for the offense, how could you beat what Eddie George did? He was exactly, what the Titans needed for year after year after year. Whether it was hammering those defenses down, tiring them out, keeping a possession for the Titans, whether it was catching passes, which he did very well also. So maybe here's my little weasel explanation here. I'll say for what the player did for the team's offense at the time of his prime, maybe I'll say Eddie and CJ with the more explosive abilities, close, just behind there.
John Glennon straddling that line on a Friday. Just an embarrassment of riches, though, is really the point of this. Yeah. That all three of those guys, as Rhett Bryan pointed out, this is the 25th year of Titans football. Eddie was obviously an Oiler, too, but to have those three guys in the last 25 years all suit up for this franchise, pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So since we're talking about great running backs, not just for the Titans, what about how the NFL is treating elite running backs by not giving any of them any contracts? As the position becomes so devalued, you just are not going to get a big-time double-digit million-type contract anymore?
That certainly seems to be becoming more and more the case, doesn't it? And I think the obvious example we saw here recently is, the Minnesota Vikings releasing Dalvin Cook, who has put up just unbelievable numbers here in recent years. But I think, that this league has turned into such a pass-first league that I think most teams are figuring, unless you've got one of the very best guys in his prime, that the difference between running backs is just not great enough to reward them. And I think what they're also saying is that the prime years are so few, that by the time he gets into a few years into his career and that he is looking for that long-term contract, well, teams are saying, hey, by the end of this contract, you're not going to be in your prime anymore. Running backs, careers are short, and the times that they are in their primes are short too. So I think teams are just kind of hedging their bet and saying, sure, you're doing great for us now, but the odds are, decline is going to come earlier at running back than it is at other positions, and it just doesn't make sense to invest long-term contracts there, and there certainly seems to be a lot of concern about it. There's even been some speculation that, it's going to have to be addressed, by the NFLPA and so forth. But, to me, I guess it's just sort of a form of, I guess capitalism, if that makes any sense. What's hot is what's getting paid and what's making money, and if you're not contributing as much, well, certainly those figures go down. You're always going to be buoyed by certain minimum levels in contract, but that's just running back is not the flavor of the decade or of the era right now.
John Glennon is always the flavor, though, if you want sports coverage in Nashville. Glennon Sports, Nashville Post, Believe in Titans podcast. JG, thanks, man. Enjoy your weekend.
No doubt.
You guys too. Get back to enjoying the lake there. After the rest of us all logging away at our laptops and things like that. So you just you guys enjoy the nice time you're having there.
Yeah. I'm put out a video of me on my jet skis doing a flip.
Okay? Yeah, Blaine gets on a jet ski, and we'll call our shot. And mine is that Blaine wrecks his jet ski. That's coming up next.
Right. Good
See
video.
you, JG.
All right, thanks.
Right back live from Twin Creeks Marina in Winchester on Blaine and Mickey. Maybe you've been looking for that getaway spot for you and your crew, for you and your family. Maybe you're a bride or a groom. You're about to get married. You're looking for the perfect spot to do it. Maybe you just want to buy a house and live by a lake and watch the seasons change. Well, the answer to all that is Twin Creeks. Nashville's Hidden Lake Getaway, a little over an hour from Middle Tennessee. You can get here fast. It's on Timms Ford Lake, which is amazingly beautiful. How do I know? Because I'm here right now. I'm sitting in the floating restaurant, floating on the water, watching fish swim by. Most relaxing place ever. Man, they got a great spot to get married here. They got a great pavilion where you can have your reception, or maybe you want to have a family reunion. You can do it here. Maybe you got like an office full of people you manage. You're trying to put together some kind of work retreat. Nailed it if you pick Twin Creeks. Listen, you got to go to the website. You got to get some more information. Come down here, bring the family for a relaxing weekend. Whatever event or whatever, just anything that you're looking for, this is the place to do it, and you will love it here. And, man, is it peaceful. TwinCreeksTN.com. Go there now for more info today. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Thanks, everybody at Twin Creeks, for hosting us today. Got a nice tour from one of the locals. Her name is Nikki and Mickey, and the Hitman. We drove around and looked at stuff out here. You need to drive yourself down here and check it out. TwinCreeksTN.com. You can get more information there. Firefly Point and the Canopy and the Honeysuckle, they got all these spots where you can have a wedding or a gathering. So remember, if you're planning to get hitched, this would be the best place to do it. And if you're looking for a place for your next reunion for your family, or you're looking to saw a bunch of fellas come in, that could have been like a bachelor party type thing. You can do it all down here. About an hour from Nashville, Winchester, Tennessee. You can hop over in the little town and check things out. But Twin Creeks Marina is the spot you need to go for your next late getaway, and you can bet that we will be back down here. I can promise you that. And this restaurant has pizza made out of pickles. So I'm calling my shot that I will come back and have some more pizza made out of pickles at this floating restaurant here. Call your shot, brought to you by Chattanooga Whiskey 91, an award-winning small batch bourbon, and the only Tennessee high malt featuring tasting notes of toasted honey and graham cracker. It is a real winner and available at your local retail store. Maybe you will enjoy some responsibly this weekend. All right, Action Jackson is our guy, and he is taking Lucas's place today, so let's do this. Normally, Lucas goes first, Blaine. Let's get our man Action Jackson to call his shot as we finish up live here today on this beautiful Friday. What you got, Jackson?
My shot is that the College World Series will end this weekend. Game 3 would be on Monday, if there will be, but I got LSU taking the sweep over Florida in the 3-game series.
LSU over Florida, huh? All right, CJ is here, our man CJ. He is giving Blaine a very elaborate shot. I think you just tried to hand him a headset and he explained it.
I was just going to – he was giving me his he said Victor, the first pick of the NBA draft, is going to be a double-doubles guy, 2010 type guy.
Whoa, man.
His rookie year. And obviously he's going to be
rookie
of the year. Yeah, that's what he's going with.
I think you may have outkicked what he was saying there. I don't know if he said rookie year. If he got 20 and 10 as a rookie.
You didn't think he rookie of the year? Oh, okay. 20 and 10, right?
Summer League. 20.
Summer
come
League.
on.
All right, but not.
Blaine and Mickey get 20
not,
and
not
10 in the Summer League.
All right, well, I'm going to go against that. I'm going
you add up what we
Mr.
did.
Miller, straight from Nashville, Cashville, and Antioch, is going to be rookie of the year. I don't care about the numbers. He's the best. That doesn't mean he's going to be better than Victor down the road, but as far as rookie of the year, I think
pro ready?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There's no part of it. He just needs to continue to sharpen, his game. He's got mid-range, go to the rack, good athlete, can shoot the 3-ball, can handle the ball off the dribble. See, so he can do all that already. So I'm assuming he's just going to increase everything and it's going to get to another level. Now he's got way more time, going to have trainers and everything else. So I'm going that.
Kyle in Springfield, we got about 45 seconds. Let's bring Kyle in on this Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Let him call a shot for us on Friday. Kyle, thanks for checking in.
What's going on, boys?
Tell us.
Hey, my call, LSU's going to win it, and it'll go to 3 games. And then I called a call a couple weeks back when I called y'all about Lamar. What I say was going to happen at UT, they was going to run into that Bayou bandsaw. Then Tigers ended up whooping them. But go Tigers, LSU in 3, boys.
Oh, okay.
LSU in 3.
Who they got? Who they got?
LSU in Florida for the final in the College World Series.
Oh, so I lost that. I said LSU versus TCU.
Well, you were close. You got half of it.
Yeah,
Here's the thing,
LSU
though,
win.
and I know we're running low on time. We're about to hear the Eagles play. Do you go with LSU, who's had to keep playing, or Florida, who got the extra day off? Like Florida has its they're going to pitch their rotation. LSU's guys have all been pitched and worn out, but they kept playing.
Yeah, baseball never makes sense, so I'm sticking with what I call it LSU. They keep playing. They keep playing, keep rolling. As long as they got the pitching, and they got it. So let's roll.
All right, everybody else is. I really want to say LSU.
But you're picking Florida because everybody else, and you like their colors.
Well, I do like that's cool colors. But everybody's saying that they don't know if Skeens will get to pitch again. I think LSU finds some way to get this to Game 3. I think late in Game 3, Skeens comes back after pitching like 100 more yesterday. I think he pitches in relief and clinches Game 3.
Woo! that'd be lovely, McGovely. They're the mixter.
This has been the most fun.
Maxter.
This has been the most fun College World Series. So no matter who wins, it's awesome. All right, it's been awesome being here at Twin Creeks TN. Go there today. Book your next lake adventure. But we got to get out of here for 3HL.
And as always, in the meantime,
In between time,
peace.